Good afternoon, and welcome to the Middle East Forum's weekly podcast. My name is Lauri Regan, and on behalf of MEF, I once again thank you all for joining today and for your continued support of the critically important work that we do. These are certainly historic times, and MEF's research and analyses by its brilliant experts and fellows are at the forefront of today's foreign policy development. We couldn't do it without your support. This afternoon, we are joined by Amine Ayoub, a writing fellow at the Middle East Forum and founder of the Maghreb Sentinel. As a North Africa's risk and intelligence consultant specializing in energy, security, and geopolitics, Amin will be discussing the Great Divide, escalating rivalry and regional security in the Maghreb, noting that from the collapse of the Arab Maghreb Union to today's frozen diplomatic ties between Morocco and Algeria, the Maghreb's fraught and fractured politics are reshaping regional security. Amin will speak for about 15 minutes, followed by 15 minutes of audience questions. So if you'd like to ask a question, please feel free to use the Q&A or chat function at the bottom of your screens to enter your submission. We'll do our best to get to as many of your questions as possible. Today's podcast is being recorded and will be available for future viewing. So please do share the link with those in your networks who would be interested in learning more on this important and very timely topic. Welcome, Amin, and thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. I hand the
Thank you.
floor over to you.
Thank you. So it's actually nice to speak about North Africa because North Africa is not actually covered widely these days. Actually, North Africa, and especially the Maghreb, which includes countries such as Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, and Libya, is a very important security and energy region. As I said, it's not covered widely and extensively, but it's important, especially these days. So the Maghreb is not just a Mediterranean neighborhood. It's actually has rivalries and issues that span for many years. At some point in the late 80s, exactly in 1989, there was this project of the Union Maghreb Arab, or the Arab Maghreb Union, that was actually going to be a union between all these North African countries. But actually, it just disappeared. It's not there anymore. Adding to that, lately Algeria decided to actually stop its diplomatic relationship with Morocco 5 years ago, back in 2021. Actually, made these things worse. There was a big French influence in North Africa for many years, even though after many of these colonized countries had their independence, especially Morocco and Algeria. But the actual rivalry between Morocco and Algeria is not something new. Even though the diplomatic relationship stopped back in 2021, the actual borders were closed since 1994. So this has been, and this was after a terrorist attacks here in Morocco by Algerian citizens. So issues between the two countries spanned for many years. Adding to that, the Western Sahara, or we should call it the Moroccan Sahara now, because Trump actually recognized the Moroccanity of and the Moroccan sovereignty of the Sahara. Adding to that, the latest UN resolution, 2703, that actually gives chooses the autodetermination as the best solution for the Sahara, for the Western Sahara. So all these issues were spanned for many years between the two countries. Right now, other things are getting into the intricacies of these issues, and we're not actually fighting guerrilla warfare like back in the 70s. Most of the viewers probably know that the Polisario Front, which is about to actually, there's a project to actually to determine it as a foreign terrorism, or an FTO, foreign terrorist organization. And it's been actually financed by Algeria, and there are reports that it's actually had the relationships with the Iranian RGC. This is the front, the Polisario Front. That's what actually Algeria is using to combat the Moroccan sovereignty of its Sahara. Lately, rivalry does not just does not just have Western Sahara as the main issue. We're having energy security right now, which actually is very important to Europe. Algeria stopped the Maghreb Europe gas pipeline, which actually used to pass by Morocco, and is actually trying to start another pipeline, which is called the Trans-Saharan gas pipeline, which goes through the Sahel region, which includes Mali and Niger. That region, the Sahel region, is very, very important right now for regional security, not just for Africa, Northern Africa, but it's when we're talking about the security of Northern Africa, we're talking also about the security of Southern Europe and Europe itself. And this rivalry of these pipelines actually is very important, especially in these days. Let's take a look at what's happening right now. Iran decided to close the Strait of Hormuz. Also, Qatar downgraded its production by many cubic meters of gas. So it's very important during these times that energy security is being used as a as a as a cushion for by these regimes. Morocco, on the other hand, is actually working on its Atlantic security, and it's using another project which is going to be more expensive than what Algeria is using with the Sahel countries, which is called the Nigerian Moroccan gas pipeline, which actually going to be used in the Atlantic region with a pipeline that goes through the Western African countries. So this is where the energy security dossier is. Let's talk about warfare. Warfare, Morocco has always been pro-American, pro-Western. It was one of the signatories of the latest Abraham Accords. This year, it actually signed another military agreement with Israel. It is using a lot of Israeli defense technologies. And Algeria, on the other hand, it's always been, it calls itself the status quo country. It's always been pro-Russian, pro-Iran. It's always had all these Russian-Chinese relationships. The Sahel region is very important right now, other than the energy security part. Sahel is very important because Morocco actually is trying to use the Atlantic as a corridor, security corridor. But the French influence, which was very big in the Sahel region, which is in the middle part of there were many issues in those countries, including Al Qaeda, jihadis that are actually it's not stopping there. It's still going on. Also, there were Russian mercenaries, the ex-Wagner group, which are called right now the Africa Corps. They're very present in the Sahel region, and it's very important to solve these issues. Lately, the Algerian president, actually, after some rivalries with the country of Niger, is trying to make peace after inviting the president, the Nigerian president. But it seems like these are not real solutions. It's just they're trying to counter what Morocco is doing. They're not real solutions. Also, right now there's some conversations that are being made, or some meetings that are being made possible by the U.S. by U.S. diplomacy in Madrid between Morocco, Algeria, to resolve this Western Sahara issue. Because after the UN declared that the auto-determination is the best solution from Morocco, Algeria is still not happy with that resolution. They're still trying to fight. They're still trying to finance the Polisario's propaganda. And what's happening in Iran actually is not helping the Polisario, because there were reports that Hezbollah actually trained some Polisario elements. I myself, my story actually went viral after I was arrested in Cuba for my support of Israel. I've seen how, because Cuba was actually one of the countries that helped the Polisario. Also they had Polisario being trained by Cuba. That's another story. But I saw the hate of not the Cuban people, but the Cuban regime, and I was like, this is gonna be worse with the Polisario. So basically, I think that as long as Trump is the president right now. I mean, he's taking sides on this conflict. I mean, he declared that the Sahara is Moroccan, and the current administration is helping Morocco a lot, especially after the Abraham Accords. And Algeria, I mean, Algeria, they just spent. I mean, this year they're going to be spending $26 billion in that's their defense budget. I mean, they have internal issues. I mean, I think their unemployment rate is around 26%. That's problematic. I think Algeria should be looking to solve their own issues and forget about Morocco. Because what they're doing right now is they're just attacking Morocco and making it look like their eternal enemy, and they're using that to resolve their internal issues. That's all I have to say about this today. Any questions?
Thank you for that. I mean, there are not a lot of questions in the queue, so I'm going to start with my own. I do have a number of questions for you. Can you just maybe elaborate a little bit more on how the war with Iran has impacted the geopolitical relationships and dynamics in the Maghreb, if at all? I mean, for instance, you did write in a recent column, and you've just touched on this. I'm going to quote you, quote, "A dramatic transition in Iran does not merely upend the Persian Gulf, it strips the regime in Algiers of the diplomatic and ideological lifeline it has long used to punch above its geopolitical weight." So can you just sort of elaborate on what you mean and what it would mean for Algeria to unravel as well, if that's something that could possibly happen? And um, do you also see a possible collapse of the Islamist regime in Tehran as having a further impact in North African countries that might have otherwise been tied to the Islamic?
Yes, so Iran is very famous for using proxies, and there were reports that the Polisario Front, which is actually being financed by Algeria, is an Iranian proxy. That's why Morocco actually severed its diplomatic relationship with Iran a while back because of those reports. So those Polisario elements, as I said, they were trained by Hezbollah. They had Iranian drones. They were trained to manipulate those drones. They were trained by the RGC. So the relationship between Iran and Algeria, and the relationship between Algeria and any country, is not being publicly, I mean, shown. But Algeria uses some of these ideologies for its own military regime existence. So it's not something, what Algeria is doing right now, what the military regime in Algeria is trying to do is just they're trying to survive. They're not trying to find solutions to the internal issues they're having, but they're trying to have partnership with the devil, anyone who's going to help them survive. And part of it was Iran.
Thank you for that. I mean, so to maybe just to take this a little step further, has the war had any kind of an impact, or the Islamist regime in general sort of falling apart right now for Morocco and its relations, not just with Israel, which are, I think, in the past have proven to be quite positive, but Morocco's neighbors in the region as well? And do you see the Abraham Accords expanding to include any other countries in North Africa?
Well, after the recent military agreement, it was another agreement between Morocco and Israel. I actually called that Abraham Accords 2.0. Actually, it shows that Morocco is expanding its Abraham Accords. The Moroccan foreign minister actually condemned the Iranian attacks on the GCC countries. Algeria stayed actually silent. Morocco has been, I mean, as I said, Morocco stopped its diplomatic relationship with Iran a while back because of what Iran was trying to do. Iran was trying to influence uh, or trying to get into Moroccan internal affairs at some point. There was a small Shiite community in Morocco, but they could not actually go farther than what they were doing. So Morocco, the Moroccan government or the Moroccan regime, they could not actually get into it, the Iranians. So when I'm talking about, let's go back a bit to what happened in Iran and what's going on in North Africa in general. So in North Africa, Iran, as I said at the start of this conversation, North Africa is not so widely covered, and there were things that were happening especially in Libya, Algeria, Tunisia, that nobody spoke about. Iran was also had the IRGC involved in Libya a while back. They were involved, as I said, with the Algerians. I don't know about Tunisia. When we're talking about their involvement with Algeria, it's also it gets involved with the Polisario and the Morocco at the same time. So right now, Iran is their leadership is just trying to survive also. So I think I just had a meeting right now on Zoom with somebody in Israel, and Hezbollah just attacked with no sirens, with nothing. So Hezbollah is another proxy who's just trying to, they're just trying to commit suicide right now. I mean, all Iranian proxies, North Africa, everywhere, are going to be done soon. And
So you brought up Libya.
that's gonna probably leave a vacuum. It's not gonna leave a big vacuum in North Africa as it's going to leave it in the Middle East, because the Iranian proxies did not have a big role in North Africa as they do in the Middle East.
Thank you, Amine. So you mentioned Libya, and someone actually had a question about Libya. So I'm going to quote another column that you wrote on the topic, where you said, Libya is currently gripped by a profound psychological and strategic shift. As of late February 2026, the nation finds itself suspended between the haunting legacy of its past and an ambitious, if contentious, military future. Can you elaborate on that statement and explain the changes that are taking place in Libya, and then and the impact on neighbors more broadly? Someone else asked if Libya's oil production is an important factor in the region's economy. If you can touch on that as well, please.
Yeah, I wrote many articles lately about Libya. Libya is actually, they recently signed many agreements with many oil companies, but there is still a disagreement between the east and west parts of Libya. And the recent assassination of Gaddafi's son, it made things a bit. Gaddafi, what's Libya? In North African culture, or we're talking about North African society, it's not one people, it's many clans, many many different families, to put all those people together, it's not easy. And that's what Gaddafi was doing at some point. Right now we have the East and West. At the East, you have a military leadership that is handling its own partnerships. Then you have the government of Tripoli with his own view of things. Then you have the UN, who's trying to put everything together. So my viewpoint is that this is not going to happen. Finding peace in Libya is not going to happen without the people, and you need a leader. And that was the hope with Gaddafi's son. People were trying to. We're expecting him to put this leadership, to put all the people together of Libya. And this is the problem with the Arab world in general. You have different clans, you have different things going on. It's not as easy as an outsider may look at it. So the oil part, what I personally think, is just being used momentarily to resolve each leader's issues. It's not going to be a long-term economic resolution for Libya. And the only solution will be if we bring the people together. There was also, there is also a member of because Libya was a monarchy also, same thing as in Iran. And there is a discussion that they may want to bring. There is, I think, one prince left right now from Libya. He lives in London. There is a discussion that they might want to bring this monarch back to be a leader, but I don't think it's going to work.
Thank you, Amine. Someone followed up with your comment about a bill being introduced to Congress to designate the Polisario Front as a terrorist organization. Has Morocco officially designated the Polisario?
No, they didn't. It was just Morocco did not do that. It's a couple of American congressmen who actually introduced the project.
And someone is asking, Gibraltar remains a vital maritime choke point and a British colony. Has the area's status played any role in conflict or in international diplomacy in the Maghreb?
Yes, very good point. The Strait of Gibraltar is very important choke point, and we could see that from the latest Trump attack on Spain. I mean, the attack on Spain was not just because of what Spain did with the NATO budget of 5% and the 5% discussion. This has been going on since the war started, since October 7th with Israel. Spain was being hard on maritime shipments to Israel. I mean, there were a lot of demonstrations here in Morocco, in northern Morocco, in Tangiers, the Tangier port, because there were news outlets that actually said that there were shipments that were being forwarded to Israel that stopped there for to get refueled. And that was true. I did some research at some point, and actually, Spain was not accepting those shipments. They included fuel, they included the military equipment. I mean, it's a choke point, but you would not expect Spain to be responsible for choking that choke point. So Morocco turned out to actually be a better partner than a NATO member.
Very, very interesting. In the last minute, I'm going to ask you a couple of minutes. What Russia's role is in the region and how recent events have impacted that. I often see the argument that Russia's too busy in Ukraine to focus its energies elsewhere, but it certainly has been building, expanding influence across the Sahel as Western influence is being pushed out. So how has that influence been impacted, if at all?
Yeah, Russia and China, both of them, they actually they like vacuums. Whenever something, I mean, the French influence was, as I said, was very big, especially in North Africa and the Sahel region. So France is not. I mean, it has a lot of. At some point with Morocco, because Morocco did not lately, it turned to an American, more of a pro-American strategy, more than a pro, because it found that America can help it with its economic, its political issues more than France or other European countries. So, as I said, the Russians, the Chinese, they like vacuums. And when France left the region, when upheaval came to Libya, to especially Libya, Wagner Group was actually very present in Libya for a while. It's still present in the Sahel region. What they're trying to do is those regions are, and also the Trump administration is interested in minerals, and those regions are very mineral rich. So these countries, Russia and China, especially, they're interested in the Sahel region not just because they want to help. They're interested in their minerals. They're interested in securing their partnerships long term with those countries. And for Libya, the danger is not just from Russia; it's also from Turkey, because Libya is in northern Africa, and that might be a security issue not just for North Africa. It might be a security issue for Israel itself. I actually talked about the meeting point of Chad, Egypt, and Libya, where it's a dark point where that can be very bad for Israel's national security with all what's going on there, smuggling people, smuggling arms, and all that.
Thank you. I mean, I wish we had more time to talk about that, but we have run out of time. And I thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. I hope everybody can join us on Wednesday at 3 p.m. with Israel Insider with Ashley Perry. And thank you all for joining us this afternoon as well. Please do share the recording far and wide. Wish everybody a wonderful afternoon. Thank you again.